Hello, welcome to our video on the Scouring Early Access. Today's match is going to be a 4-player free-for-all match between me, the Perfect Gamer, and the other players, Dutchy, Part-Timer, and Dinchi Code. And of course here, we're going to be trying out the beta version of the game, where we're going to be allowed to play with some ships, which of course is going to be super fun and interesting, of course, like always, to try out the new toys or new stuff. Anyways, over here, I spawned as a cyan human. I'm going to be doing the barracks and sawmill. Half and half of my workers. Just so I can get some swordsmen. But I think you do need a sawmill if you want to make any kind of ship. Even a transport ship, I think. And of course, the humans and orcs have, I think, the same stats for their ships, so it's as balanced as it gets, but it is a little, I guess, unfortunate. I don't know whatever word to say. I thought it would be a little different, maybe, between orcs and humans, their ships, but I guess it's still pretty nice. Anyways, over here, a blue player, Dutchy, playing as orcs, is making a few warriors, logging camp. I guess pretty similar to me. There's a similar meta swordsman as well. And over here, the purple player, Part-Timer, looks like he's playing humans. He does look like he also did a similar build. Fast barracks swordsman, and then a sawmill. And of course, final player, Dinchi Code, playing as yellow orcs. Looks like he also did a barracks and a sawmill, but I guess he kind of built up his buildings a little later. But I guess it is what it is. So over here, got a handful of swordsmen. Got to be starting to kill some goblins. But of course, blue and purple are already ahead of me here with killing their own neutrals. Sort of captain, goblin captain, whatever you call him. It is a captain after all. It's pretty similar to a bandit lord. It has critical damage, so it can kind of snipe your units if you don't micro them really well. But he is somewhat weaker, so it's not that big a deal. And over here, purple is going to the next camp. And of course, blue is killing some goblins, and I'm also going to be killing some more. And of course, you're going to need a tier 2 upgrade on your town hall for you to get the opportunity to make the first assault ship. Destroyer, I think it's called. Basically a single cannon ship. You can see Dutchy is going to be building it here. And of course, unlike in other games where you need to make a little port or harbor or whatever before making a ship, here you're going to be allowed to build it manually with some workers. Just anywhere where you can see some water. So there you have it, the first ship. Dutchy made a destroyer. It's a single cannon, so it can kind of shoot. Even if you don't tell it to shoot anything in front of it, it's going to automatically fire. And over here, the yellow player, Dinchi, looks like already unloaded his troops here, his transport. He's probably thinking of getting this base. But of course, in the meantime, purple came to ruin his day here. Killed some units. But I guess he had some mercy on yellow. He wanted to let him enjoy some ships. Or to, I guess, have an opportunity to play with ships. And over here, killing more goblins. Over here, blue is going to be taking my base. In the meantime, he is blowing the base purple here. And you can see this cannon can be quite good. Killing some workers, some archers. The cannon is a very effective unit against ships, pretty much. Extremely useful. In the meantime, yellow is killing the straw here. So he's going to be expanding underwater. In the meantime, I scared away the blue player. Just getting out some cannons. Because of course I was also afraid someone making a ship and just running into here and killing my workers. So having 2 or 3 cannons is going to scare away the enemy. No, and of course, in this true down far goblin waves. Some blue gets kind of cooked here out a bit. Plus some workers. It's not really mining because of these goblins. Now his army is going to be saving him. I guess purple had no issues with his wave. Not really sure if yellow had his wave yet. But I'm not even sure how the goblin waves would work. Or island base would we actually spawn in the darkness here, or just on the outside parts of the map? That's a little interesting. Now here you can see the human ship, similar to a destroyer. It also has a single cannon, and of course it can fire while moving, but of course only in the front part of its ship. Unlike the bigger dreadnought, I think it's called for the orcs. A huge ship with autocannons. Or maybe battleship, I don't remember, for the humans. And of course, I was sending out my ship to try and see. Other enemies have some map control. You can see blue here. He's going to be expanding here, but of course, purple is going to be attacking him in the meantime. You can see even archers can fight back against these cannons. But of course, you have very few health points, so cannons from these ships going to be effective. Well, you can even see here, purple is running down the ships of Duchy here. And they're sinking eventually. You can see it's kind of difficult to even run away, because ships or whatever can keep on following you and keep on shooting. They don't really have to stop to shoot, so it's kind of difficult to retreat from any naval engagement. So over here, blue player kind of gets focused by a huge army of purple. Loses most of his ships, so he does decide to surrender here. In the meantime, I was kind of bullying the yellow player here. I think I killed one of his military ships because he was trying to repair it, but it was looking towards his base, so he couldn't fire it back. So that's how I was able to destroy his ship. Yes, it's getting a tier 3, which of course you need if you want to make the dreadnought or the huge ships with a lot of cannons on them. Now we're here, purple, scouting the map, kills my ship here. So he has, I guess, naval supremacy at this point. Of course, in the meantime, I was trying to get a tier 3 as well, to maybe get a big ship out, trying to get some water control, I guess. And here, of course, I did remember blue surrendered, so wanted to see if purple was still here. And yes, purple had enough of bullying yellow once again. So he has some mercy on him. Well, he has a huge amount of ships. It's roughly like 6. And you can anchor your ships, but I'm not really sure this even does anything to your military ships. But I think you need to actually anchor your transport ships if you want to unload your troops or whatever. So like over here, part-timer is going to be expanding here. So he's also going to have another base in the middle. Yell. He's finally going to be making Dreadnought. Huge ship. Meantime here, I was trying to scare away purple. Try and see what kind of army he has here. But eventually, after seeing these cannons, I'm gonna decide to retreat. And over here, might as well make a base here. But of course, this is a little annoying. You're gonna have to chop your way through here to even have a chance to start building a base. So my base is gonna be a little delayed. Oh, and of course over here, forgot to mention is that even though it's destroyers, they don't look like they have any units on them, but they do actually consume quite a good amount of food. And when your ships are starving, they're going to be moving in a very snail's base. Or here's a huge dreadnought hanging around, bullying the purple player. And over here, purple decides to fight my cannons. So we can see here, with just a few cannons, you can actually destroy quite a lot of ships. And of course, they're quite vulnerable when you're starving, because they're already going quite slow. But while you're starving, they're going to be going even slower. You can see purple's making a lot of small ships. Doesn't really have a tier 3, so you can't make a big ship yet. Where your yellow is going to be taking revenge and blasting them away. This huge ship, of course, can shoot in any direction that your cannons are facing. But it is a little weird, I would say, because only the cannons on top here, these 3, can fire at you. And these other 3 or 4 cannons are here just for looks. They don't actually fire. But it is a little interesting how the work, I guess, battleship is slightly different. Where it has a single cannon that can actually shoot, I think, in a maybe 360 direction around the ship, but the big human ship, like my ship right here, doesn't really have a cannon in the back, so it can only shoot sideways. And so here I did lose my own big ship. And of course, after seeing Yo having so many big ships, I just realized I'm not going to be able to have any kind of sea superiority or whatever. Water control, you could say. And so I just gave up on trying to make ships. But of course, still fighting on. See, I guess this is the only difference between orcs and humans. Pseudo cannon that can fire behind the ship. Anyways, in the meantime, I got a tier 3. I got a huge amount of cannons. Got a lot of swordsmen. That's pretty much getting ready to attack the Yale player. Because I did see he had a lot of ships here. But not really much of a ground army, as we can see. Just huge water control. And of course, dreadnoughts can be quite powerful because they have way more cannons compared to a destroyer. Because I think one dreadnought costs about the same amount of resources as 2 destroyers. But we can see here, a dreadnought only has 200 more health than a destroyer, so having more destroyers is going to have more health, but it's not going to be as powerful as an actual big ship. And over here I saw cannons were quite good, so I decided to get another smithy to make even more cannons, because I needed quite a few of them here in case some ships came here, because I did take most of my army to try and attack the Yell player's base. In the meantime, Purple is fighting the goblins here. Still has a tier 2. So you still can't really make any big ships. In the meantime here you can see they begin assaulting the Yell player's base. Bombarding his workers and just beginning the slaughter. As you can see here, even though he has a very powerful ships, I would just die if I tried to fight him here. But of course, his ships can't really defend his base, which I guess is quite an interesting new dynamic with ships. How you can't really, I guess, be powerful on water and on land at the same time. It's a bit of a trade-off, I guess. And so somehow I was able to destroy this tier 3 in pretty much most of his base. And now Yo doesn't have a tier 3, so you can't really make dreadnoughts anymore. Oh, and of course, artillery is extremely effective against the ships. You can basically just melt them away. But I guess I was a little busy trying to bombard these archers instead. Oh, and of course, in the meantime, I was busy. My expansion got munched away by some goblins. But I was like, whatever, not a big deal. Because I got a huge amount of gold by just breaking a lot of buildings. So, even though it was a bad idea to lose a base, but most of my army was somewhere else, so it is what it is. Over here, after slaughtering a good amount of army from a purple player, decided to keep on moving to try and go to his base next. But in the meantime, Yell was actually destroying the purples on the whole here, I guess, and the rest of his ships. And so purple is going to be quite weak now, because he did lose a lot of ships to yellow. Over here, gonna be making expansion on the bottom. Getting another sawmill, so it's kind of running out of wood. Now I'm just gonna be making a lot of cannons and a lot of swordsmen. And over here, I begin attacking once again. But this time, a part-timer's base. As we can see here, he also has a similar issue of being unable to really use his ships really well. So his base is going to be dying as well. You see this artillery. It's a huge amount of damage on these ships. And of course the range for ships, so you can bombard them out of the firing range of the ships. Interesting. You even get some gold by breaking the ships. I didn't even know that. So at this point, I'm going to be destroying this castle. And so it's going to make the purple player stuck at tier 1. So he's not going to be even able to make any more destroyers until he gets a tier 2. In the meantime, he is hanging around, defending himself, I guess. I'm even getting apprentices, huge amount of cannons, a lot of swordsmen. I just begin making these cannons to try and take out whatever defenses are left here. But of course, the cannons can still fire at these ships. And I guess while I was killing this stuff, my goblins finally woke up after munching away my expansion the other night. So now they're gonna be trying to attack me. But it is a little interesting how yellows, I guess goblin wave didn't really spawn. Maybe because he was in the middle of the map for the vision here, so it's a little interesting. So over here, I basically won a Pyrrhic victory. Lost 99% of my army. But I won just enough to destroy the rest of these useful buildings. So purple still hiding in the middle here, trying to run away and rebuild some other gold mine. I guess yellow is thinking maybe making a base here. Still on one base, and he kind of ran out of wood. So that's a little interesting. You can run out of wood if you're only hanging around the Udo Islands. So over here, getting in third base, getting a huge amount of cannons. Well, finally making one of the transports. So I feel confident enough to support my ships with all this artillery in case yellow is going to be fighting back here. In the meantime, yellow has all these ships here. But here I do find even the other base of purple player. But he's going to be losing quite a lot of workers. Still some buildings here. So eventually, purple is going to be hunted down. He's going to even be fighting with his workers here. It's kind of funny. He's fighting to the last. He always still has a base. Yellow has a second base as well. Making farms. Have a huge amount of cannons. Maybe around 15. Here's a little funny attack with a purple over here. Just trying to kill my stuff, but my swords are gonna put an end to this little harassment. And here, of course, I was spreading out my swordsman. Terry gold base. That way no one could be hiding anywhere where I wouldn't want them. So eventually know if they try to rebuild somewhere else. You can see here, these huge ships here being light up during the night, which is all interesting. Just like your normal buildings. And here, yellow is gonna do a big mistake by trying to go across this shore. And of course, probably didn't realize that he's gonna be facing a whole shower of cannons here. See, it was one big ship and another one. Wow, he lost every ship. Yeah, so cannon's gonna be quite powerful. But of course it is, because I did have around 20 of them here, so we are quite powerful. But of course, out in the water, only the ships can fight effectively. But of course, cannons are always going to be pretty useful near the shore. Here's a transfer ship of the orcs. Just cruising around. Now I begin trying to load up my ships with transports, trying to invade the closest little island. But this is part of a more frustrating part of the, I guess, the sea fighting or whatever you call it. I guess he'll try to annoy me here a little bit. There you can see, I have to manually click transports and then manually tell him to unload. Can be quite annoying. And there's only 8 spots, so it's very few units you can actually transport at a time. So maybe getting a bigger amount of space air transports would be a little nicer. So it would be a little easier to actually transfer your whole army instead of doing this very annoying and slow unloading. Only 2 cannons per transport. So it was kind of annoying in my opinion. But eventually we begin attacking this little base of yellow. He doesn't have a tier 3, so he can only make destroyers, I think. Not that huge ships. And so eventually we're going to be taking down this base. You know, it is quite annoying to transport your troops across the water. Now I guess purple is getting a tier 2 to try and get some, whatever you call it, tier 2, so you can get the ships they can use to fight. But I guess it would be interesting to maybe have some kind of trade on the water, so there would maybe have an actual purpose to controlling the water instead of just, I guess, having water control but not really getting much of an advantage out of it. So maybe some kind of trade ships that could actually allow you to get some kind of resources out of the water control. You can see here, gotta be invading the next base here of a yellow player. He's trying to block me here, but it was a little too late for him. And I do manage to unload, but you can see it's quite a small army here. So you're gonna have to slowly get even more troops. Oh, I even made some more huge ships here to try and blast away the enemy. Even purple's here, trying to help out the yellow player. But of course, he's not gonna stand much of a chance against my huge ships. But of course, ships can be used to destroy buildings, which is also quite powerful. To destroy a whole base, or other buildings, or defenses. There's some battles here. Yes, yellow decided to surrender. That's his final building. And over here, purple is actually fighting back. Kind of destroying my ships. Because of course, these big ships don't really have as much health as these smaller ships. So you can somewhat get overwhelmed. But here I did send some more reinforcements to try and take out the next island. Of course, getting even more units across the water. And this is pretty much the final ship of a purple player trying to fight back. So you know he has his base here. He doesn't really have much to defend it. So he's eventually gonna surrender. So there you have it. It's pretty interesting. Looking at the first little ships in the game, which I think can be quite interesting and mixing up the gameplay a little bit. But of course, with transport ships are quite annoying to use. Ships are quite slow, so maybe giving them a researchable speed boost would be a little nice. So it'll be a little bit more fun to actually micro them around. Anyways, let's see results. And I guess you can see here, managed to mine quite a lot, killed a lot of units. But that was mostly because purple and yellow made a lot of, yes, ships. Had a huge water control, but their ships couldn't really defend their base, so my huge ground army was just a little too powerful to be stopped. Anyways, if you liked the video, you can leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see more videos on the Scouring Early Access, then you can subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.